Negativity is something that we as humans tend to reward, meaning that we're more likely to interact with negative content than with positive content. Scandalous content, negative content are things that we are more likely to engage with because at the end of the day, we really have to tell people that they're wrong on the internet. The Overton Window is the phenomenon in society that there are limits of what we tolerate people to say. And so a key goal by the far right is always to extend the Overton Window. Formerly banned accounts, such as from neo-Nazis, QAnon supporters, and others, are being reinstated. It sends incentives for those actors to speak their minds, to share disinformation, to share extreme speech. And my concern is that basically this amnesty will lead to a widening of the Overton Window. The overarching idea of democracy is that we're all on the same page about the issues that are at stake, about how we should talk about these things, and that we can kind of like agree on certain facts. And the introduction of disinformation, all of that, then sows doubt, for example, on elections. And inherently sows doubt on democracy in itself, because democracy needs to be legitimized over and over and over again. Every platform has a choice what content is being incentivized and what content is not being incentivized. Freedom of speech inherently protects people from governmental interference. Freedom of speech does not protect individuals from getting banned from Twitter or YouTube, because those are private companies, and private companies can very much choose what they want to see on their platforms and what's not. One of the big channels that we looked at in our research was Alex Jones's InfoWars channel on YouTube, which at the time of its ban in 2018 had around 2.6 million subscribers. Since a lot of kind of like the content that they produce then falls under the bracket of it's sensationalist, it's negative, and thus has a potential advantage towards other content in being recommended by algorithms. My stance would always be that it makes sense to remove actors like Alex Jones from social media platforms, because by having them there, it also normalizes, it mainstreams disinformation, it mainstreams extreme speech. We use these platforms as kind of like a public sphere. But as any of my students will be able to tell you, these platforms are not truly public spheres, because in the end, they're all driven by monetary interests. And that is something that we need to talk about and that needs to be regulated, because by now, platforms can do whatever they want, more or less. And of course, we as citizens in a democracy need a bigger stake in these discussions.